Red Sox fans have wanted to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions. This is going to be a tough play. The Cubs. Salaries. Makes the play. It's over. And the Cubs have finally won it all. 8-7-10.
Welcome to the best sports podcast on the planet. I am your host, Brandon Combs, joined as always by the Soup Boss, Chad Lounder. Chad, how's it going, buddy?
What's up, man? What's up? How's it going?
Oh, you know, it's one of those days for sure. I've had a crazy weekend, but it's been a lot of fun. We've got a lot of good things happening with the show. We've also got a lot of good things happening with our viewers. We've got a lot of good things happening with some sponsors, which we'll touch on that a little bit later. Super pumped about the direction that we're headed. And I've had an unbelievable conversation last night, which we're about to get to here in a second. Made me change our entire
hold on. Do we need to censor this? Do I need to change the rating on social media?
Oh, I would definitely put explicit content coming up here.
I already do that no matter what. So.
look at my jersey. So I put up my jerseys like I do for every broadcast. And this Griffey one is actually a teal jersey, and it's coming through brick pattern.
I'm telling you, man, all that is it looks like you, as a Cubs fan, one day just decided you wish that
I wanted a brick.
You want him on there, so you got the Wrigley brick thing going. You're like, Griffey, come play in Chicago.
I don't know what the hell's going on here with StreamYard, but there's something crazy going on. It turned my good-looking Griffey jersey into a Bricks jersey, but hey, whatever the case is.
I love that sexy jersey right next to it, man.
Oh, that Nolan Ryan, man.
Hell yeah, baby.
That ugly orange and yellow. I love those throwback Astro jerseys, man. That was before they started using video to cheat. Yeah,
because they didn't do anything else to cheat ever.
No.
That was the last podcast.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, real quick, before we jump into things, again, we put up our polls. We want you guys to keep interacting. We're going to put them up at the end of every show or during the show. It depends on if I get the free time or not. We'll keep them up through till the next show. Once we start getting more and more constant interaction,
Wasted no time. What's going on, Alan?
On the ticker. Once we get more and more interaction where we could do them during the show, that's fine. But we want to keep you guys coming in. So we got about the same interaction as last time. So I want to see that tick up a little bit more. Hit us up on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same handle at 3Shot Sports, the number 3 Shot Sports. But we had 3 polls up here. And one of them, of course, will be pertaining a little sneak peek into what we're talking about today here, Mr. Combs. But first 2, should the NCAA cancel the football season? Yes or no? Yes, don't take a chance. No, make it happen. I don't know if you get on when I make these, Mr. Combs, as much because you do a lot of the audio. But what do you think the split on this was?
I'm going to say it was probably 100% give us a season.
83% should the NCAA cancel the football season? Yes.
Wow.
I love our fans. I'm glad we're building this.
Wow.
But you realize you get on here and talk sports with us because sports is on the TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I saw that real quick, and that's my first thought. I was like, okay, 83%. Yes. My brain real quick went to, should we play? And then I was like, no, I wrote, should we cancel? Oh, no.
We should definitely do that, but do it for NFL this time. Because I'm interested to see if it's the same split for NFL. Because something tells me that it wouldn't be the same split at all.
Okay. That'll be the first one I throw up. So we'll get that up. If I can during the show, I'll start it going. So everyone on, get over to Twitter. Vote once I get that on. Second one, are we both crazy to make Zeke our number 1 running back going into 2020? If you missed our last show, we listed our top 10 running backs going into 2020. Me,
If
Mr.
you
Combs
disagreed with this, I love all of you that are watching the show. I love all of you that have interacted. I love all of you that have voted. I love all of you that have shown love to the show.
This
But
is
if
like
you disagreed with this, you're wrong.
This is like a dad saying, "This is gonna hurt me much more than it hurts you."
If you disagree with this, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. Look,
Are we both crazy making Zeke number one? 66% said yes. We're both crazy for making Zeke our number one running back.
66% of our fans are morons.
And finally, as a nice little sneak peek into our podcast today, is Wayne Gretzky the greatest NHL player of all time? What got us heated last time? 66.7% said hell yes, he's the greatest NHL player of all time. But I digress. We have more opportunity to talk about that later. But
we will definitely talk about that, and I will make you all look foolish once I tell you who's number one. At any rate, look, so last night I went to a friend's house. We're throwing bags for those of you on the East Coast, cornhole.
Yeah, baby.
So we were doing it. I didn't lose one game, of course. Sorry, Brian. Sorry,
Ryan.
Ryan.
Gonna have to get on a team, get together when you fly me up to Chicago.
But yeah, no, I mean, so we went out there and you know, I was hanging out and we were drinking and having a good time. There's about 5 of us there, and then the conversation started about athletes, and the comment got made to me that they're overpaid. And I said, well, I get what you're saying, and I do. I understand that by most Americans, when you look at somebody who's making $20-30 million a year, which it isn't even close to the average, but we'll take your top players who are making $20-30 million a year in Major League Baseball. I get where you see that's a ton of money, and it is. It's a huge amount of money, and you know it's debatable whether or not athletes should be paid as much as your military members or your doctors or your teachers, and I understand that argument. So don't get me wrong here, but by their industry standards, if anything, they're underpaid, and I don't care what you say. You can come at me however you want. But athletes are not overpaid.
Well, instead of people coming at you however they want, why don't you tell people why you're going to make such a bold statement of underpayment?
So, look, it's not such a bold statement as underpayment. I said, if anything, they're underpaid. Because
backtracking
no. I'm not backtracking. I said if anything, they are underpaid. They're definitely not overpaid, because especially in baseball, where you've got a team that is pulling in, like let's go low end. Okay, the Miami Marlins last year pulled in, so I think it was $414 million when I looked it up.
Mm-hmm.
Their payroll was $70 million. Okay, there's a huge difference there. For an average business, your average business pays its employees somewhere between 15 to 30% of their gross revenue. And these teams that go out there and they're paying these guys according to what it is, and that's the other step to this, is the owners make way more money than what the owners should make, because
lining them up for me. Lining them up.
Oh, no. Let me ask you a question now. I'm going to let you talk for a second. Let me ask you this question, okay? And I asked this question to my buddy last night. I said, how many times have you gone to a game, and I want you to answer this for me. How many times have you gone to a game wearing a jersey with the owner or the GM's name on your back?
Absolutely none. But how many times?
No.
Who makes that available?
No. Oh, you can get it. Absolutely. I could get a jersey with my name on the back of it.
No. Who helps make it possible that those players' jerseys are out there?
Okay.
You're saying that the owners don't have an important part?
No. The owners definitely have an important part. I'm not saying that the owners don't have an important part, and I'm not saying that the owners shouldn't make more money than the players, because they absolutely should. They're the owners. That's how business works, and I get that. Okay, but what they are bringing in for revenue. I mean, what are most teams in the Major League Baseball are worth over $3 billion.
Give me those Marlins numbers again.
I can't remember the exact numbers, but their payroll was somewhere around 70 million, if I recall, maybe 75. And I believe that they brought in something like 414 million, if I'm correct. So it's just not like, if you make $414 million, it's not just players, because they still have to pay the ballpark. They still have to pay the employees inside the ballpark. They still have to pay the electric bill. They still have to pay everything else. And trust me, I get it. I know how business works. I understand it. Okay? I do. But the notion that players are overpaid, what would you like them to be paid? For a team that makes $414 million, how much of that should go to the players? If you want them to be paid less than what they're being paid now, tell me a number that makes sense that they should be paid, because they're not overpaid. They're not.
Yeah, when you brought this up in this aspect, I wanted to make it very clear. I don't think that they should be paid less. Like, I just literally don't, because I understand they get paid millions of dollars, but it's called supply and demand. There's a reason that they get paid so much, because we fill the ballparks. Well, until 2020, we buy the jerseys, Ocho Cinco. We buy the merchandise. We buy all the stuff no matter how much the cost is and how crazy it is, we still go there and buy it. If they entertain us, and that's why you want to get good players and everything like that, then that brings in more money, and therefore you can pay the money back. I don't think at all that they should get paid less. I don't think so, because the numbers you gave me, and we're going off of the Marlins, that's a 16.9% of the revenue that they made went to their players. Most normal businesses run successfully on a 15 to 18% spread paying their payroll. Now, you brought up one of my points that I was going to counter with, which is we only look at the players as if there's an owner and then there's just players, that there aren't coaches, there aren't staff, there aren't scouts, there aren't GMs, there aren't office personnel. There are far more support staff in most professional sports than there are players. Now, of course, the player is the product. You're right. I don't go and wear Mr. Kraft Patriots jersey. He's one of those owners that most people, before he went down and got a nice little massage in Florida, they probably would have worn a guy's jersey like him, and yet they still won't, right? That's not the point. We're wearing Brady. We're wearing whatever as New England Patriots fans. But that rate, to me, is not bad, because then you add in all those extra staff members, you're probably saying about 20% or so. Here's my other challenge, though, and this is, you kind of touched on it, and I'm going to bring in more and say this wasn't you as much. It was a lot of other people when I have this conversation, but tie in a little bit what you say. Because when it gets to the owners, people start to rag on the owners, like, look at how much money they make. Look how much money they make. These owners did not start their wealth with these teams. These are owners that in other aspects of life built a fortune and were able to, as I'm pretty sure if you and I both built hundreds of millions, if close to billions of dollars worth of fortune, would probably have a desire to buy a sports team ourselves. Look how many of the sports players talk about they want to. Patrick Mahomes just put in money, and he is now a part owner of the Kansas City Royals. Like, it is an aspect of business owners want to be able to, but to them, it's another investment. And we hear stories like Jerry Jones and Bob Kraft and these other owners who took a team that was not worth as much and they made it more. Why? Because it was a business model. They didn't start it with nothing. No one gave them something. They weren't making a plant, taking a field out in the middle of nowhere and mowing it down and going, hey, guys, come and play it. I'm going to build this league from scratch. They're not Triple Shot Sports Podcast who's building from the ground up, baby, and we're going to be on the top someday. They came in already with money. So you got to remember, those then don't just go away. They just don't go, okay, all these things that made me all my riches and maybe be able to do well in my life financially go away. No, they're still doing that. So when people are like, look at how much Jerry Jones is worth. Yeah, do you know how much Jerry Jones does outside the Cowboys? Robert Kraft and his family, what they do outside the New England Patriots. The value of an owner's worth is not capped within the team. The team is a certain amount of it. If the team as a business is paying their players based on the numbers you gave me for the Marlins, it skews different, right? But if they're paying between 15 to 20% for the players, and they're probably paying more personnel staff, and you're probably sitting around 20 to 25%, I'm sorry. That's a successful business because, as you said, you've got utilities, you've got all these other aspects. Especially when it comes to professional sports, they have different stipulations on players' taxes. The players have to pay taxes. They have to do their taxes in different states if they play there, and so do the teams. And when teams are making millions upon billions of dollars, they have to pay a different tax bracket every single state that they play in. So to me, I think the formulas are fine. I think it got to a point where we joke like, hey, remember in the day back in the 80s or 90s, this player, how great he was or she was? Do you know how much money they made? And we laugh about it because today we now see the true value of it. But the fact that there is maybe a thought process they should get more, not only do I think that that's inaccurate, but with what's going on with COVID in the world, you better be prepared, my friend. We're about to, if we go into 2021 with empty stadiums, these owners can last 3 to 5 years, but they're not going to wait to the 3rd to 5th year. We're going to start talking about salary cap reductions next year if there were no fans in those seats.
Right. Strikeout beer. Oh, damn. My 2 favorite lunatics. What's going on,
I'm not
boys?
wearing an Antonio Brown jersey.
What's going
Poor
on,
guy.
gentlemen? I know you guys are sipping on something. I'm sipping on something. And you know, Soup
Sammy.
Boss has the Sammys. So
Got my Sammys. It'll be
Here's
summer
you
until
guys.
summer's over.
Brandon Bingham says the revenue they bring in is worth it. Absolutely. Look, and
it's worth it to get paid what they are. But Brandon, do you think that the revenue that they bring in should be more? Like that's why I hear the argument.
So here's the thing. When it comes, and that's I brought up this point last night too. Whose fault is it that the revenue they bring in is so high?
It's ours. It's our fans.
It's the fans' fault.
It's us, the
It's our
fans.
fault. We pay the ticket prices.
Exactly.
We pay the $100 for the jerseys. We pay.
When people are shocked with Fenway ticket prices, and yet they go year after year after year and sold out Fenway Park Stadium. Like,
I ain't never gonna stop going. I mean, that's just how it is. That's the business that they make. So the owner, who rightfully so, probably could sell a hot dog for $2 a piece. Probably could sell a ticket for $40 a piece. Probably could sell a jersey for about $45 to $50 a piece. But you're going to pay $6 for a hot dog. You're going to pay $9 for a beer. You're going to pay $130 for that same jersey. Why would he sell it for less?
Right. Why would he sell it for less? But you're also remembering that the aspect of buying a hot dog that's made for you at a baseball game in which things are only in a certain time window is so much different than you and me and going down to Wally World and going to buy a pack of dogs and everything. The middlemen, the vendor process, the time to be able to sell, loss of product costs, they have to do that.
Right.
Much.
But that's what I'm saying. If you're going to say that an athlete is overpaid, how much less do you want them to make? The owners are still going to gross what they gross. They're not going to bring down their prices. If the players' salaries go down, they're not going to reduce ticket prices. They're not going to reduce the price of merchandise. They're not going to reduce the price of anything inside that stadium because you'll pay that anyway. So you can't say that they're overpaid because how much less should they make? They're the ones that generate all of the revenue.
It blows me away when I ask a lot of these things and I bring my own personal story into it. So I'm not pointing fingers at my friends when we talk about this, but I say, okay, for me, I got myself in a great career. I'm with a fantastic firm. But right at this point, it's about a year ago, I got a great offer from a company based out of Denver, was going to let me work from home before all this COVID stuff, oversee a place in Dallas, potentially travel the world, go to different places like New Zealand and stuff like that for engineering and all these things. And I went back to my employer and said, I don't want to do this. But listen, they saw my talents. Because of my talents and what they feel its value, they offered me this much money. And my firm said, well, we actually know your talent. And of course, we're getting a profit in that aspect of it, but you deserve this. So we're going to give you this much more. And I got myself in a good financial situation. And I felt I was worth that. Anyone else in the world say that they'd be worth more money if they're a hard worker. Professional athletes, I know the thought process is, well, they only play X amount of games all year. These men and women bust their ass day in and day out. They train hard. They train nonstop. they're. I mean, you look at guys like that. We joked about it, but Terrell Owens, when he was working out in that driveway and did that like press conference, like that is legit.
Yeah.
These men and women train nonstop. I dare you to go find any picture about Serena Williams and just look at the work that woman puts into her skill. She practices the skill to the point that she stays on top of her game and stays the best, so she is at a higher value. And you and me, if we worked hard at what we do, we'd want more in our value. The second part of that is, I know the comment, and you brought it up, the aspect of, well, what about school teachers and doctors and everything? And I got all those stats, and I looked at the difference of 40-year versus 5 to 10-year average. And of course, that athletes ends up coming out a little bit more, even on lower scale of the average. But there's different aspects, such as different taxes that the athletes have to pay. They have their agents that they have to pay. And of course, we're not talking, and they can get other aspects. But there was a great point. And I have to give, I think it was Bleacher Report, the credit for this. I was doing some research, and it said their pay is okay, though, because for a doctor to be able to become a doctor, they have to put in X amount of hours of work, and they deserve that, right? If they put in that much amount of work. But the writer said not to sweep the legs out for many great doctors out there, but if I truly wanted to be a doctor and I really put in the work, I could be a doctor. I would have to work hard day in and day out. I could work really, really hard day in and day out to want to be an NFL player, and the chances of it are small. And then he gave the actual chances of to become an NBA star, and it was ridiculous how minuscule the percentage was.
Yeah,
it is so tiny. They are not just working hard to get to these roles; they're working hard to get to these roles that have such a smaller percentage of succeeding. So when they get there, they deserve it.
And I get it. Like I was in the Marine Corps. I put my life on the line for pennies on the dollar compared to what these guys make.
Yep.
And I understand it. But I'm not saying that the amount of money that they make is minute. I'm not saying that the amount of money that they make isn't more than what most of us will ever see in our entire lifetime. Because it is, I'd kill to maybe reach $1 million in my bank account at some point in my life, but to say that these guys are overpaid it's just not an accurate statement. And if you are looking at it that they're overpaid, you're just looking at it from what you make compared to what they make, and that's not fair, because what they do generate in their business, in their line of work, this is their job. Albeit it's a great one, and albeit it's a fun one, and they most definitely love playing it for sure, but that's what their revenue generates. And you who are complaining about it, who makes whatever you make a year, 70,000-80,000 a year, are still paying to go see them play.
Right, exactly.
So
you're still paying YouTube TV to. You're still paying YouTube TV to see the games.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I went crazy. When the Cubs didn't have, we talked about the network thing. The Cubs are having an issue getting on Comcast. I went out and I was like, screw it. I'm getting Hulu TV. And I went and paid for a subscription for Hulu TV for a month. Luckily, I had my free subscription. And the day before the season, the opening day, they signed a contract with Comcast, so I didn't have to. But I would have paid. Absolutely, I would have paid $60 a month to see the Cubs play. Absolutely. So it is what it is. I don't want to forget real quick. I did forget to mention this at the beginning of the show. We are doing our giveaway today. We have reached well over 200 shares. We've gotten really close to the 200 likes. So I appreciate all the love. I appreciate everybody who's joining in. I appreciate everybody who joins us live every week. We're starting to see Strikeout Beer here every week. Mike Manauer has been. Wayne G's always watching.
Wayne G was already talking smack on our post earlier, by the way.
Yeah. So I see over here, who was it? Brandon Bingham shared the show. So just like Brandon, if you share the show and you join us live and you're on, you have to be live at the time of the drawing. I want it to be clear that as soon as I draw that name, I'm going to look for a comment that says here or thank you or whatever the case is when I draw your name. If I don't get that within 5 minutes, I'm drawing another name.
Remember, they're on a slight delay.
Bingham, there you go. There's your first name in the hat. It's written down.
Woo!
All right. So the
Congrats,
name's going
Brandon.
in the hat. Anybody else who's watching the show? I see Noah on here. Your son's on here. Alan. Hey, you guys are all free game. This is going to be the same drawing. So share the show. You have to share the show. Comment. Let us know that you shared the show. And your name's going in the hat.
Speaking of my boy, he's a big Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Last game of the NHL entry round. They're going up to get that last spot. Last game.
Yeah. Noah says they are definitely not underpaid. Look, I guess when I say underpaid, I'm not talking about by baseball standards. Baseball players are not underpaid. Baseball players are definitely paid what they're. When you get into NFL and NHL, those guys, man, those guys don't make nearly the money.
They don't. Players do you know who gets paid the most? NBA on average salary is $7.1 million now.
They start paying people just to pay people.
NFL average salary is $2.7 million, and NHL just peaks over $1 million. Now I want to go real quick back to your point, because you being servicemen, and again, Mr. Combs, thank you for your service, and everyone that watches this show as part of any force of military, police, fire, I don't care. You put your life on the line. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But my thought process is what ends up happening in these arguments is, well, they get paid so much money, and our men and women in the armed services don't, and frontline emergency room attendants don't, and all these things that don't drag the athletes down because of the percentage they get based on revenue. The other positions need to come up. I agree. I think people that are saving lives need to have their pay go up.
Right. But you know what they don't want to hear,
last year go up, but those need to go up.
You know what people don't want to hear, though? There is a way for those people to make more. There's a way for teachers to make more. There's a way for doctors to make more. There's a way for service members to make more, but you don't want to hear that. You know why? Because you have to pay more in taxes, because that's how they get paid. So you don't want to hear it. So I don't know what to tell you when it comes to that argument, because there is a way to get it done, and it's on us to get it done. So who we got here? Anybody who complains about a player, there's Wayne G. Anybody who complains about a player, coach, for owner's salary, they are only doing it out of jealousy.
Now I think
that's a tough one. I kind of agree. Not fully, but I kind of agree. They may not be doing it out of jealousy, but I think that what they're doing is comparing it to what they make in their industry, and it's just not fair. If you work for a local construction company, you're not going to gross, whatever. You're not going to gross $1 billion in a season. You're just not. You're not going to make $636 million at your local, your local construction company. So you're comparing your $80,000, $100,000, $200,000 job to somebody who generates way more revenue than you do. It's just plain and simple.
I also think a part of this has to do, and I'll bring up Shaq as an example in comparison to other athletes.
$12 beer nights help with the utilities.
So professional athletes, we also see what happens. We see a lot of, because we've talked about this in previous shows, the egos. Now we're at the point where kids are in middle school being told about how amazing they are, right? So they got to go up, and they got to, when they sign that deal, we find it more amazing now when a player does something like pays off their parents' debt or something like that, because they're mainly going out and getting these sports cars, crazy, all these things, these big mansions. I went and delivered Taco Bell in the middle of the night to can't remember his name on the Thunder out here in Oklahoma City when I was doing some Postmates huge house, everything like that, all nice car and everything. And I was like, oh, do you have a lot of people over here a lot? And he was like, no, not really. And I was like, oh, okay. But so they spend all this money, right? But it's up to them, just like it is up to you and me, to be able to take that money, invest it wisely. Shaq, great example. And this is the one I tend to get people to kind of because Shaq lets people know how much he's made since he's retired and what he makes per year annually off of all the things he does, comparison to when he was a player. His total career earnings as a player, an average per year, he makes more than double now. And yet, does anyone crap on Shaq right now because of the fact that he makes so much money because he took opportunities and he built himself this media empire as a face for companies, and TNT and all these things in sports. And he's actually doing more not playing sports, and no one craps on him.
Right.
But you want athletes to get paid less, and he's proven, no, listen, it's up to the individual to see what they can do. I'm actually making more as an athlete, not an athlete now. So
Mike Manauer says, so you post strikeout beer, but not me. Okay, I see you.
Oh,
well, listen, you know what? Strikeout beer came out with their running back list, and they didn't have Miles Sanders ranked ahead of frickin'
Derrick Henry. They probably didn't have Miles Sanders in their top 10.
Nobody has Miles Sanders in their top 10 except for this kook.
And I saw a Philadelphia Eagles player come out and try to explain it, and I was reading it. I got halfway through. I'm like, he doesn't even believe what he's saying. Look at this guy right now.
Allen again.
He's trying to double it up. He's like, if I do it enough, maybe I'll earn $100.
If I play Fortnite with you tonight, Allen, and you die, I'm not reviving you.
All you got to do is sing Phil Collins in the air tonight as loud as you can.
Yeah.
Right in the microphone.
So then Strikeout Bear comes out with a good point. Attendance gets low enough, they start doing bits and reduce the prices. You're right. I mean, if attendance starts to shrink in places, they will lower prices.
Yeah.
But attendance isn't going to shrink. Maybe in baseball, but NFL, they're not going anywhere. The fans aren't going anywhere. They're not going to stop going. And it's one of those things. And they would reduce prices. You're right. But they still would not reduce the player's salary at this point because the MLBPA would never allow it. So it's going to be really hard for them to reduce these prices.
They'll reduce prices to start to get everyone back in because of what's going on. And guess what happens when we start filling all those stadiums?
And that's only going to happen that's only going to happen for teams that aren't winning. I mean, your team's winning, you're going to the game.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, and then corporate sponsors and all that stuff, they're going to make their money. That's just how it is.
Yep.
My dad survived like 6 kids. He should get $1 million.
That's my boy.
I agree. Hey, look, I have 6 kids too. I should definitely get $1 million for all that, for sure. I should get $1 million for putting up with their mothers. I hope not.
Jeez. YouTube just demonetized us just for that. Forget copyright infringement.
See,
ragging on women.
I don't put you on, Mike. This is why I don't put you on.
But they could just go, it wasn't me, it was the other Mike. No, it wasn't me, it was that Mike.
Mike, yes, we are doing a giveaway $50 gift card for any live viewer who has shared this show and liked the page. You have to be live with us when we do the drawing. So I'm not sure if you're on your show or not at that point, but definitely if you're sharing, which I know you probably already did, just let us know that you shared the show and we will certainly do it. Jared, hey asshole, I'm here every live show. I know you are, Jared. Did you share? That's all I need to know. If you say you shared it,
he also just called you an asshole.
That's all right.
Telecom shared.
It should be shared dash $50 gift card. That's fine. Alan shared it, so I'm gonna go ahead and write his name down.
Noah, share it. Everyone share it. I just posted this on Sports Soup.
Noah,
members, get on there.
Share. So we'll put Noah's name in there, Alan's name in there.
I'm so pumped, man. Noah stayed up in New England, tried to earn some money towards a car. I was proud of him, but he flies down 7 days.
Yeah.
7 days. Yeah, I just saw Noah. Watch my dad's live stream. Aw. Love it. Thanks,
Wayne shared it to Infinity Sports. So, Wayne, you're in.
Hey, I shared it to Sports Soup.
we are the only two that can't win, buddy.
Ah, darn. Okay.
Trust me, because if we could, I'd put my name in there and then I'd pull it. Let's see here. Jared, I shared. Sorry for the name call. You just didn't mention me for being here. Jared, you are here for every show. We actually talked about you last week. I'm not sure if you were on by the time we mentioned you, but we actually are thinking about coming up with a comment of the week. And so far, you would win every week so far. You definitely have not.
You called me an a-hole.
Yes, yeah. But hey, look, man, I've got 2 ex-wives. I've been called much, much worse. And after what I just said about them, I'm probably still going to get called much worse.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Alan, I've got Noah, and we got Wayne G. Speaking of Wayne G's, we're going to take a quick break, and then we are going to get to our GOAT debate. And maybe it's just a thing about guys named Wayne G, but none of them are on my greatest list.
Sneak peek. Oh,
oh, they got that sneak peek last week.
Goats. This is going to be a multi-list GOAT list. Multi-list GOAT list.
We'll be right back here in just a short moment. What's going on, Triple Shot Sports family? This is Brandon Combs, host of the best podcast on the planet. That's the Triple Shot Sports Podcast. Be sure to join myself and Soup Boss Chad Lounder live for 2 hours. Yes, I said 2 hours every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern and 7 p.m. Central on the RTF Sports Network Facebook page and YouTube. And if you miss any part of the show, you can hear us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on your drive home at 5 p.m. Eastern on rtfsportsnetwork.com. All right, guys, we are back, and it is time for us to get into this debate. And we were talking before the show, and I'm not so sure as I was filling out my list that other than maybe hockey, maybe maybe wide receiver and running back, we might have different guys. I think basketball, just from talking, I think we might have the same person. Because basketball, we just went with one player, the greatest player of all time, because I think that is a sport where you can find an individual. Yeah. Baseball, we went with a pitcher and a position player. Yep. NFL, we went with quarterback, running back, and wide receiver.
Defense. I love the defense, but
hockey, well, that's the 86 Bears. So, I mean, if you don't have the 86 Bears as your greatest defense of all time, you should reevaluate.
Did you know this about your co-host? I believe the 86 Bears are the greatest NFL team in NFL history.
That defense was absolutely phenomenal. But in hockey, we went with a goalie and a skater. And we're going to save that for last because I think that's going to be our biggest argument, as I made Soup Boss walk off the set last week. We got a couple more comments rolling in. Let's get to them real quick.
You couldn't even name someone.
We've got Jamie Rowe. Hey, how's it going, Jamie? Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being part of the show. Strikeout beer. Cheers, boys. Cheers to you as well.
Hey, buddy.
Noah, damn, that was a quick break. You're telling us. We have to talk through this whole thing. You're telling us. But we got in trouble last week because I used music. So we have to go with the commercial for now. I'm trying to get some clearances to play certain music.
Just say you can get him in a bag.
Yeah. I think what we have to do is I think we have to go try find local stuff. There's all sorts of local bands. We got a bar right down the street here. It's called Bourbon Street. It's everybody's favorite hangout. And they've always got live bands. So maybe I could talk to those guys, get them some airtime. I think that'd be a great way to get some music on the show for sure.
Hey, we got 10 shares so far of this podcast right now.
TJ, this comment came through. I haven't seen the other ones, but this one. There's another one. I shared. Now give me my free stuff already. All right, TJ, you're going on the list.
Hey, how'd you get that gift card? I said, give me free stuff.
Yeah. There you go, TJ. TJ's in there as well. All right, so let's get to this. This Wayne G is the greatest at one thing. Ask your ex.
I just saw that comment.
Wow. I mean, I could ask my ex. I could probably ask 3/4 of the Lakes region too, but
people are like, we got people to share this, and they're coming in right now. Like, what the hell is this?
The greatest part about that is I have all my ex saying, "What'd you say about me?" I wasn't talking about you; it was the other one. So, all right. Anyway, let's get off of that before I get myself into some trouble here. All right, so we're gonna start out with NBA here. We're gonna go greatest of all time. You just want to say it on 3 because I'm pretty sure we have the same one. You want to do that for the NBA, or do you want to actually go back and forth?
Let's do it. No, that works.
1, 2, 3.
Dennis Rodman. No, I'm just kidding. Michael Jordan.
I was about to come through the camera, and yeah, absolutely. So there's only one person I've ever met that has actually argued this with me and actually had me thinking and looking at numbers and stuff like that. And that was actually Wayne G. He is adamant that it is Wilt Chamberlain. I disagree. Wilt Chamberlain, he put up great numbers. He had the same amount of points per game as Michael Jordan. Jordan was a 14-time All-Star. Wilt was a 13-time All-Star. Jordan won 10 scoring titles. Wilt won 7. Jordan obviously won 6 NBA championships. Wilt won 2. Wilt was only a 2-time All-Defensive player. Jordan was a 9-time All-Defensive player.
Yeah, people forget about that because we only know him as the offensive ton swagging Space Jam highlight reel. The guy played defense. He knew how to play defense.
Right. And then, you had he was 11 times All-NBA. Wilt was 10-time All-NBA. Jordan won 5 MVPs. Wilt won 4. And Jordan won finals MVP in every finals he played in. Wilt won 1 out of the 2 that he played in. Well, for me, it's just Jordan. I mean, his free throw, he was a 30% higher free throw shooter. He was just all around. The only place where Wilt is better is in field goal percentage, and it's not even that big of a jump. So I give it to Mike. He's the greatest of all time. He was everything to us here in Chicago. He brought that a Bulls team, a team that nobody even knew, in the 80s, and just brought him to prominence. And everything that he did with those 90s teams was unreal. And so Michael Jordan is the obvious choice there. I get it, Wayne. All NBA defense didn't start till he was 30. Okay. Still 9 times. I mean, how many times, Wilt came into the league when he was how old? And retired when he was how old? So I'd have to look all that up. But Wilt was, Jared, I brought up this too, but then I looked at it and Wilt, the height difference really wasn't. That's really not a good argument, and I got shut down on that too when I tried making that argument.
There are a lot. But everyone forgets just because the average player height was shorter back in the days. There were some really, really tall players back in the days. The Wilts, the Dr. J's, the Bill Russells, and there was other ones that aren't household names. There were a lot of really tall centers. The aspect of the center back in those days was far more prominent as a position than it is in today's NBA.
My girlfriend, good idea. I think she's talking about when I said I'm going to stop before I get myself in trouble.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Way to go, you dumbass. Hey, listen, this is what it comes down to for me.
I forget there's no editing anymore.
You said that what MJ did was to bring the attention to the Bulls and how important he was to you in Chicago and everyone there, right? You're the Chicago guy. We get that. Cut the crap out of Chicago. And guess what? He was the same way everywhere else. I was living in New England. I had family all across the country. I had friends that were in California, in Texas, in Montana. I had people that traveled everywhere. Michael Jordan became one of the most recognizable brand names that there are in any sport. He brought the aspect of basketball, and I'm talking about as a kid who grew up with the Larry's back because he got hurt in his back and he came back, and Celtics stuff up in my room and everything like that. Like, it didn't matter. Like, we still rooted for MJ. When MJ came out of his retirement, opening night in Halloween in Boston, they lost to the Celtics, and it was like the world stopped. And then opening day lost the Celtics. MJ changed the game. It's funny because some of the things we complain about with ISO play and everything like that, like MJ really made that an aspect of the game, but that wasn't the only thing he did. He changed the dynamic. He changed the aspect of saying that you could be one of these overly competitive and on the court jackasses and still be a good person in terms of how you interact with the fans, how you interact with the media. He changed the aspect of the game. I give credit to Bill Russell so often when people are like on his stats, but Bill Russell was a guy who literally changed the aspect of the game, forcing people to not come through the center lane. MJ did that the whole half of the court.
Right.
Like you had to
And that's
learn.
where
You
Wade
couldn't stop at the 3-point line. You couldn't stop on the top of the key. MJ would beat you at the top 3-point line, the key, underneath. He would beat you in every aspect. But not only that, let's remember, Wilt had teams where he dominated in all the stats, and the team sucked. And I'm not saying MJ didn't play in some sucky teams, but the aspect is that MJ made everyone around him better. They all admit it. Even though they got frustrated with him, he made them better. And even though the Bulls went to the playoffs when he retired, they went to the playoffs and looked like garbage. They really did.
And
he comes back, and what happens? They're the greatest thing anyone's ever seen.
Wade puts on here 50-point games. Wilt had 118. Mike had 31. I get it, but it was a different game. It was a different game back then. They would feed him the ball under the net. There was no 3-point line when Wilt played. They're just it was a different game. Their game plan was to dribble the ball, throw it down to Wilt, let him dunk the ball. That was what Wilt did.
And that led to a lot of bad games for his team. You could sit here and go the 50-point games, but a lot of games were bad because either he tried to do it all himself and his teammates didn't, or the game plan was to just get it to him and it messed it up and the other team ran circles around them. He loses debates.
Don't listen to Wayne. He loses debate to Combs all the time. You damn Skippy. Speaking of debates, don't forget to join us tomorrow night. Cheap plug here. Don't forget to join us tomorrow night on the RTF Sports Network for the great debate. I will be your host once again, and that is at 8:15 Eastern Time, 7:15 Central. And we have 4 different contestants this time, and we have a bunch of good questions coming out, and it's going to be a great show. So join us tomorrow night on the RTF Sports Network for the great debate.
Sneak peek, did they put any NBA questions in there? So you're dumbass.
We actually have a couple of NHL questions in there.
Great. Do you know who Donovan Mitchell is yet?
I don't care.
Hey, listen, if you ask anyone if MJ didn't retire, would he have 8 championships? How many people balk at that? Even with
when you're talking about greatest of all time, and I get where you're going with that, you can't really talk about ifs, because what if Wilt played on a great team? What if Wilt played on a star-studded team like Bill Russell did? There's always what ifs.
And we have more championships. But listen, we're no. Because
if grasshoppers had boxing gloves, birds wouldn't fuck with them.
Holy crap, Kung Fu Panda! Get the hell out of here with that crap. Listen, Bill Russell had 11 championships, and yet we're talking about Wilt and MJ. I'm not making that the aspect of ifs. If you would have either one of them have more, but it's just an aspect of knowing that you watch the man, that you know that when he retired, he stepped away from championships. That's just the difference. And when he stepped away, the Bulls didn't win championships around him. I get it. If Wilt had more of a star-studded thing, but MJ was the thing that made it work. It made them walk into finals with no one doubting the outcome.
Absolutely.
I think when the Jazz, like for instance, when the Jazz stole a couple games here or there, people are actually like, well, that was weird. Like, because there was just no doubt of what the outcome
Now, real quick, let me ask you this about when it comes to basketball, because I used to be an avid basketball. I loved basketball back in the day, and up until about 5 to 10 years ago is when I really stopped really caring. I still follow it. I'll still watch highlights. I don't watch regular season games unless nothing else is on. Then I'll catch one. But so. The LeBron Jordan debate.
I know. Hold on. We've got a whole list of goats to go down, and you want to go down this monkey path?
I know. I just want to ask you real quick, because people ask me that question. As soon as they hear I'm from Chicago, that's what people outside of Chicago will ask me: LeBron or Jordan. And I'm not even so sure that LeBron's as great as Kobe. I think Kobe was closer to Jordan than LeBron will ever be. And I've had this argument a lot, especially with Wayne G, who is probably the biggest Kobe fan out there. But I think Kobe, in the grand scheme of things, is number 2 on my list. I have Wilt at 4. So when I go down my greatest of all time in basketball list, I go Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Wilt is how I go.
I think we need a sport. We're doing the GOATs, but maybe we should do a sports Mount Rushmore or something like that.
We could do that.
I don't want to lose all of our time in this aspect because this is a debate. But listen, I do not like LeBron James. I don't. I got to see him his very first preseason game. He was playing. I have the company that I worked for. We got to go see a preseason game. He was in Boston, and we got to see in the old BC Center. He played a preseason game. He was a pompous ass towards his coaches. He decided when he was going to get checked in, he decided he was going to go on a bathroom break. He came back. He's got an arrogance about him in that aspect, okay? He knows that he's amazing. But that's the thing. He is amazing. And the reason this argument is there is because a lot of people know it. But my challenge has always been what a lot of people say. You do it in the East. You've done this a lot in the East. I think there were some great battles that people just overlook with him and the Celtics when they had those battles. But when he went to the West, it was for him to prove to all the doubters, as much as players say they don't listen, he definitely listens. He's going to prove to all the doubters that even with another good team around him, because all the greats tend to have good teams around them when they win, right? Wilt was still great, but he had some crappy teams because they weren't that good around him. If he goes into this right now, and LA is not playing very good, the Lakers are not playing very good right now in this bubble. If he goes out there with AD and building this system and they do not win the championship, it speaks a lot to the fact that LeBron is close. He's physically beyond what most NBA players have ever been. He's an all-around player. He can play all 5 positions, and yet there's an aspect that he loses points on because he still has challenges when the game's on the line. I mean, we saw it today. The whole J.R. Smith. Look, he did it again today.
We got our fans are starting to get into it. TJ says the game MJ played with the flu. Name another player from this era who would play like that. That alone speaks for his legacy. Then part-time nerd comes in and says food poisoning. Ate some tainted pizza. All right. Hey, look, you guys can go ahead and debate amongst yourselves and comment for sure. I mean, we still got the shop talk segment. So I mean, we're definitely going to talk about the stuff that you guys are going to want to talk about. LeBron James' problem is that he cares too much about what fans think. Jordan didn't care and Kobe didn't care when they were assholes and they owned it. LeBron is an asshole, but he wants people to like him.
I don't think it's wrong. Here's another thing. I don't think it's wrong that athletes want people to like them. What part of humanity do we think it's not okay for a person to say, I don't want people to like me? I think it's okay. It's the fact that he then goes out and tries to portray himself as this cold-blooded killer.
Yeah.
Like there are some players that embrace that. Like I'm about the fans. I interact with the fans. Ken Griffey Jr. is one of those type of guys I think of. And he embraced the fans and said that the fans helped motivate him. LeBron doesn't say it though. Jared, but he definitely wants it.
Tim Duncan is not in this.
Yep. Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Jared.
Tim Duncan is not in this conversation.
Duncan is the most completely passed over player in the history of the NBA.
No.
He deserves.
Tim's a top 10 guy for me. Tim Duncan is definitely in the top 10, but he's not in. He's not even in. He's not in the top 5.
If Tim Duncan had a chip on his shoulder, he would be in this conversation with everyone else.
Oh,
he would.
No. Nope.
Timmer.
Nope.
All right, we're moving on.
Yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on. We're going to go to baseball now. So baseball is another one where I think we're going to agree at pitcher because I really think that just like Michael Jordan, it's a no-brainer.
Nope. I guarantee you don't even know who the hell I'm going to bring up.
Oh, my God. Well, you're wrong, so I'll go first.
I was just kidding because I know you love baseball.
The greatest pitcher of all time is Cy Young, and it's not even debatable. Nope. It's not. 511 wins, a 2.63 career ERA, 815 starts. Of those 815 starts, 749 of them were complete games.
Yep.
Nobody is ever touching the record of Cy Young. There's a reason why every year the best pitcher in each league gets an award, and it's called the Cy Young. Cy Young is the greatest pitcher to ever pitch, and it's not even close. Don't even try it. I know you're going to come out with something different by the way you're shaking your head here, Soup Boss, but you're wrong.
What was the point of this? What, you want me to just sit back and agree with your bitch
You don't
ass
have
with
to agree
things
with
all the
me,
time?
but I mean, it's
Listen,
logic. There's
hey,
no you.
Is Lombardi
numbers.
Is Lombardi the greatest coach ever? Do you think he's still the greatest coach ever
in the NFL?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you paused.
Well, because
you do this thing where you want to come up with an argument, but you pause because you just brought up this. Oh, he's got an award after him. Listen, Cy Young is in my friggin' top 3, possibly 2. Okay, I'm not complaining about Cy Young. You and I sat here with Wayne on that one day when he tried to give us the stat about what was it? It was some other stat. He's like, "Is this the greatest stat ever?" And you and I are both like, "No, his complete game stat record. It was insane." But there was a guy that no one really talks about. But if you study the game of baseball, you will see that he had some of the most dominant stretches for a subpar team that he carried them on his back. His name was Walter Johnson. Washington Senators. He was absolutely fantastic. He had a 15-year stretch in which he never pitched with an ERA above 1.9 until except for 2. And of those 2 years, the highest one he had was 2.22. He had 110 career shutouts. I know that's not in the same aspect, but he didn't even get to see the postseason until he was 36. And at 36 years old, he went out there, all 5 games, complete starts, including one 12-inning game. The guy was dominant. People that faced him said that they didn't understand where the ball was coming out of his hand because his motion was so slow, but the ball was so fast. Catchers would talk about the fact that they would square up on his zone, and he knew exactly where to put it, but he would switch things up on his own.
How many wins did he have?
I don't know about his all-time win total because he had a longer back-end career.
Okay.
So we're going to use some people.
It wasn't close to 511. How many complete games did he have?
110.
Yeah, wasn't even close to 749. What was his career ERA?
2.22. No, it was way better than that. That was his worst ERA year.
Okay. And how many years did he play?
417 wins, 2.17 ERA, pitched in 802 games. He was also a closer, by the way. He pitched 5,900 innings, had over 3,500 strikeouts with a whip of 1.061. Go ahead and sit there and tell me why this is such junk in comparison to yours. Because that's what you're doing. You're coming out with these stats to try to shit me down on this. Do you even know who Walter Johnson is? Do you even know what team he played for?
He's in my top 5 pitchers of all time for sure. Okay. And actually, I had him at number 2.
Oh, so he's at number 2. And your guy was probably my number 2. So whoopity friggin' do.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
Whoopity friggin' do.
There's a reason why the best pitcher every year gets a Cy Young award. Because Cy Young is the greatest pitcher to ever live. And it's not debatable. It's not.
He was in the
749 complete games.
He was in the top 5 MVP, not Cy Young or best pitcher or whatever it was. Top 5 MVP voting 5 times, won it twice.
You're using Cy Young's wins in 1806, but I won't give Will credit for 50. I didn't say I don't give him credit. I just say
oh, Wade's gonna trap you now.
No, but that's the thing too. So if you're going by like,
if you're only going stats,
yeah. If you're only going stats, then I sure. I mean,
that's what you're doing.
That's the only no.
So I'm gonna use Wayne's aspect to back up this point because you say MJ is based on the whole credit of who the player is, and you argue against Wilt's stats. I give you an aspect of who Walter Johnson was as a whole, including all the things that people nonstop talk about. Not to say that people didn't say about Cy Young, but there were people that said that the things that he did, especially when he got older in his career, that he should not have been able to do, were beyond even what some of the things that Cy Young and some other greats of that time could have done. That was an aspect of not just stats.
Part-time nerd wants to know how many no-hitters has he thrown while tripping on
it. Yeah, who was that? Who was that for the Pittsburgh Pirates? Oh, there are some people that say he's full of crap, though, from that game. They said that he's lying on it, but
there's a lot. I mean, what was the God? Why can't I think of his name? The Yankee pitcher who said he pitched his no while he was drunk.
David Wells.
David Wells, yeah.
David Wells lived half his career drunk. Different than it's. I don't think that's any worse. So did Babe Ruth. It's no worse than being juiced up, in my
Doc
If you
Ellis.
can, if you can
Doc
pitch a no hitter while drunk, that to me, you should get credit for 2.
Doc Ellis is the pitcher that pitched on acid.
Yes. I was just trying to look it up. Yep.
Yeah. Strike me to be a part-time nerd. That's the only thing I want to know. All right. So let's get to position player. So I'm gonna let you go first because I've already said this probably about 5 times on different broadcasts that we've had. So you go ahead and go first with your greatest position player of all time.
Yeah. So this is just going to cause such an uproar because I think the line for people comes down to what we talked about in our last podcast. And folks, as Mr. Combs and I both said, and I have a feeling you're going to be agreeing with me. And I also think that Wayne G, who's in here, is going to agree with me. I think there's a lot of soup people that are going to agree with me, but there's going to be a heck of a lot of people on the opposite side because of when it came to the steroids era. But ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely missing the fact that most of us alive listening to this show had the absolute gift of watching Barry Bonds play the game of baseball. He was a player unlike anyone else. His stats, what he could do differently by grounding out nonstop, were through the roof. What you'd have to do to match him by, and I think we brought it up in our last show, going 2 for 5 with a home run and a double, you still wouldn't match some of the things he did. He had over 2,500 walks. He was the only person in the 500 club, 762 home runs, 514 steals. How many times do you sit there and talk about Barry Bonds? You talk about how good of a stolen base guy he was. Oh, and let's not forget about the fact, because people always love to say, well, he was just out there just smashing home runs. He took steroids. He smashed home runs. He hit 8 gold gloves. Not 1, not 2, not 3, LeBron James. 8 gold gloves. There was no player like Barry Bonds. And we have been gifted to see just an amazing career. Pre-PED, during PED, I don't give 2 craps PED. He was the greatest player we ever saw. He was our Babe Ruth, and he was better than Babe Ruth, and we're still crapping on this guy, and it's a damn shame.
Look, you are 110% correct. Barry Bonds is the best player to ever play the game. And look, I'm not going to say that Babe Ruth doesn't belong there. I have them as 1A and 1B. I think that they're interchangeable. Their numbers would suggest that they're interchangeable. But for me, Barry Bonds, the numbers that he produced they make me laugh. When I look at the numbers, some of the things that he did made me laugh. There is no other human being in the world that has ever had 373 at-bats in a season and reached base 376 times. That's just, I mean, that's how much people did not want to face this guy. They would walk him all the time, intentional walks, intentional walks, all the things that they could do so they didn't have to pitch to him. He was the first player I ever saw get walked with the bases loaded in a 1-run game. They actually walked him and walked in the tying run. Like, nobody does that. But they knew that if they pitched to him, he was probably going to win the game. The most feared hitter ever in the sport. The guy was just incredible. The stat that we had last week that I brought up, that Wayne kind of stole my thunder because he posted it before we got to have our little talk on the steroid era, was you could go 2 for 5 in a 162 game season, 2 for 5 every single game with a single and a home run and still not have the OPS that Barry Bonds had in 2004. That is ridiculous. That is, it's mind-boggling that people still, because of steroids, and I don't understand it. The conversation doesn't make sense if you try to say that steroids, stop you from being in the Hall of Fame. Because if you can let a guy like Ty Cobb in, who on his off days would go to the Bronx and shoot blacks for target practice, then your standard stops there because of steroids. You're a joke. And stop. Barry Bonds is a 1A. Babe Ruth is the 1B. Barry Bonds is the greatest ball player to ever play baseball.
But we just had a heck of a moment right there that's touching. So I think what we should have done is who's your 1B, and we would have gotten in a fight because Babe Ruth is actually not my 1B. He's the 2. Willie Mays is 1B. Willie Mays is absolutely 1B. No. Absolutely. But we can get into that another time because we both agree that Barry, part of it is the aspect of his attitude. And because the Hall of Fame is people are put in by like writers and everything. Let's face it, Barry Bonds didn't give 2 craps, especially with what happened to his dad. He wanted nothing to do with the media, and therefore it got portrayed to us as fans that he was the biggest Jack A on the face of the earth. We're not ranking players based on how great of a talent they were in terms of personality. Like I talked about before, Griffey was great, and he used that with the fans. That's fantastic. Barry Bonds was out there doing things shattering the atmosphere of the game of baseball as we know it. And because his attitude wasn't great, writers made sure, especially once the steroids era started to go down, they ripped him apart. He was easy meat. Yeah.
And he hated he hated the I threw that up there for a laugh. He hated the media because of the way the media treated his dad. The media turned on his dad when his dad was a ball player. So he wasn't going to let that happen to him. That's a long story. It's something we can get into another time. If anybody really wants to chat about it, we can certainly chat about it. But let's get through some of these comments before we go back to break. And guys, don't forget to comment. If you shared the post, you shared the live, you want your shot at the $50 gift card, Visa gift card, feel free to comment. Let us know that you shared the post, and we'll throw your name in the hat. Right now, we got 6 names in there. So
that's not enough, guys. That's not enough. Here. Say you shared it, comment, and stick around.
And step away. Look, I don't know. You know, I'm assuming this is Rapid Dave because he said this the other day when I was talking about it on his live stream for Fortnite. I just don't understand where people think that the steroid era doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. It doesn't make sense. The steroid era was the steroid era, sure, but Babe Ruth played in an era where black ball players weren't allowed to play. Right. So maybe he wasn't the greatest ball player of all time. Maybe the greatest ball player of all time we didn't get to see because he played in the Negro Leagues. Well, so he was on an unlevel playing field, just like the steroid era was on an unlevel playing field.
Was he Japanese or Korean? There was a ball player that actually broke the home run record, and I know it was in a different aspect because it was in that league, but people said that if he had gotten the chance, but he wasn't allowed to play in America, if he had gotten the chance, he may have been one of the greatest ever. But we don't get to consider it because he didn't play in the MLB.
He didn't scare the shit out of the best pitchers ever. He'd have 1,000 home runs. I'm assuming you're talking about Ruth. I don't disagree with you. I really don't. I think
he's talking about Barry Bonds because he has 2,558 walks because he got walked on purpose. Those were 4-pitch. Well, a lot of them were because they were thrown outside the zone, but most of those were intentional walks, including that bases loaded walk you talk about. That was intentional.
Yeah. This argument right here is why the what if sucks. Mantle could have easily been the greatest if he took care of him. Yeah, but
I can't stick. Holy shit, we need to get Jared on here because I swear to God, you put up a comment of his that pisses me off every single time. You are a professional athlete. Athlete is a word attached to the word athletic.
Yeah.
You cannot give a what if because a player Babe Ruth could have been better too if he didn't drink his damn liver away. You cannot give me an argument ever because a player doesn't take care of himself. Who knows? Panda out in San Francisco could be the best third baseman we've ever seen, but he obviously ate 4.5 fucking bags of pizza rolls every other night during COVID. He doesn't take care of himself.
Willie Mays is better than Bonds. No, he's not.
Am I 1A? I mean, my 1B?
Willie Mays Hayes is greater than Bobby Rayburn.
Oh, man.
I didn't say Babe was the best either. Strike up here. Well, look, Mays is not the best ever. He's
right behind Bonds.
No, he's not.
He is.
Look at the numbers. No, he's not.
Well, every time you say look at the numbers, I hope Wayne lights your ass up.
22 specialized positions in football.
Yeah.
Ashley Rodriguez.
That's my dorkette right there. That's my sister. That's my sister. If we ever get into wrestling, any type of wrestling conversation, The stories I have. Heck, I'd bring her on for the stories. This poor girl is the toughest Jersey girl you'll ever meet, and it's all because
there you go, Ashley. You're
she's
in
been
the hat.
shoved in a dryer and turned on. Her ankle messed
Oh
up,
my
Kurt
God.
ankle. Like she's a tough cookie. She holds herself in New Jersey because of that.
Didn't Roos start some curse for the Yankees or Red Sox? Yep.
For the Red Sox. He started the curse for the Sox.
Your dad.
He did, buddy. He did. But that's okay. That's all behind us.
Wayne, I was talking about Bonds. All
yeah,
right.
about the fearing. Yeah, no, he's right.
Yeah. Then say you're talking about the
all right.
best who played on the MLB, since you can't include this person or this. Who are we not including? We can't include. I mean, obviously the Negro League players. I mean, some people say Shoeless Joe Jackson would have been better than Babe Ruth if he wasn't banned from baseball. You know,
not just some. There's a ton of people. There's a ton of people that recorded that he was better than Babe Ruth.
Why aren't we talking about Serrano? Oh,
we got our comedy here for the night. I love it.
Chris Farley would still be here if he didn't like the way Coke smelled.
Exactly.
No,
rest in peace, Tommy Boy. But that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Part-time nerd shared. So part-time nerd, you're going in the
right. We gotta get going. Maybe we're like a little over halfway through, and we still got the NFL. We still got the NHL, and you know I'm screaming at you come the NHL.
Yeah, no, and you're going to be wrong there.
God, I swear to God, if you...
So we're going to skip our break, and we're just going to keep going because this is just getting too good. We got a lot of comments coming in. Would have been a lot better.
Shoot. We got our comedy for the night.
Babe Ruth copied Shoeless Joe's swing. There you go.
He did. You did, Wayne.
There's all those could have been, would have been, but we have to go by what was. And what was Barry Bonds.
And that's a great point for Shoeless Joe, but talk about the aspect of where great players.
Talk about the NFL so I know what you are saying.
That's my boy.
All right.
That's my boy. All right, let's get to the NFL. That's a great segue.
So we are now going to the NFL, and we're going to start with quarterback. And I think we're going to agree here, you being a Boston guy, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I dislike the Patriots. I can't stand the Patriots fan base. They are the most annoying fan base in all of sports, and that includes you, Soup Boss.
I love it.
But Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He is, until the day he dies, not the day he retires, he will be the best quarterback in the NFL. And he is definitely the greatest of all time. 219 wins, 64 losses in his career. 6-time Super Bowl champ, 3-time MVP, 2009 Comeback Player of the Year, 2007 Offensive Player of the Year. He's just, look, when I think about a quarterback that I want to play one game to save my life and win the game, it's Tom Brady.
Baby.
It's not even close.
That's how you put it.
Tom Brady is a winner. You call him a system quarterback if you want, like a lot of people do. But it's Tom Brady is the best quarterback to ever stop on an NFL field. The New England Patriot fans should think they're lucky stars that Drew Bledsoe got hurt, and they got to see the greatest quarterback to ever play the game on their field. Because otherwise, he probably would have been traded that off season, and we all know that he would have been a Chicago Bear. So go ahead. Anyway,
maybe the dumbest thing I think you've ever said. Now, listen, I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked with you because I thought you were going to come up with some one-off, even though you put him on your top 10 QB list here on our last show. But you're so driven by just stats, unless it's Wilt Chamberlain. Let's talk about the fact that I did some deep research because I knew me just going, Tom Brady is the GOAT. People are going to be like, well, of course you think that. That's all you think. You're a New England Patriots fan, cheating, blah, 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 all this stupid crap. And Drew Brees is a guy that has some really damn good stats. I went and looked at who does everyone think there's the greatest? And I got Brady, Brees, Manning, Peyton, not Eli. Eli, you got 2 rings off Brady. Good for you. That was your defense. But Montana, Marino, and Elway. Those are and don't argue with me on those names. It's just the names I got from everyone. And I went through the stats. I was shocked because I always put Montana 1A behind Brady once Brady got to about his 5th ring. And I couldn't believe how low Montana's stats were. I was shocked. And I know it was a different game back then, and we've talked about that aspect, but I was still shocked, just really how low Montana's stats were in those times. Breeze, though, in comparison, I mean, Brady's QBR less than Breeze, but he's second. Hit touchdown in yards, second to Breeze, but he's still second. Brady beats him in the interception aspect. But let's also remember one thing. Whether you think that cheating is some aspect that is only done by the worst, and there's never a team that wins a championship that ever does anything that's against the rules in any way, shape, or form, and they're perfect champions, he wins. The point is, he wins. He wins with no one. He wins with crappy players. And let's not forget, people always talk about Steve Young and Joe Montana because he had Jerry Rice. Tom Brady had Randy Moss, and he saw one Super Bowl with him and didn't even win it. He's winning with guys like Deion. He made Deion Brady Super Bowl MVP. He is in the aspect of the system quarterback drives me nuts because I get this on Sports Soup all the time. Well, he's a system quarterback. The definition of a system quarterback is Trent Dilfer. Is when you put a system in place that a person fits in just enough that it works the way the system pushes him. Tom Brady didn't make the system push him around. Tom Brady worked his ass off, and he made sure, if you go look at video biopics of him in Bill Belichick's office at 5 a.m. saying, well, I don't like that. No, I saw this. And Belichick pushing him back. It wasn't where Belichick said, this is the system, you're going to do this, Tom. Tom was just as much of an integral part of that success as Bill Belichick was. And the fact of the matter is, you don't go to 9 Super Bowls in any era of the history of the NFL, and you don't win 6 on your own, and you tie any other team's franchise number for a record by yourself as a player and not be considered the GOAT. It's a shame to me that people just want to call him a cheater.
Look, I don't want to turn this into a Tom Brady or Patriots love session, but the guy.
If it was MLB and Cubs, you'd love it.
I would. I mean, I'm not going to lie. But Tom Brady is, I mean, and like I said, I don't like the Patriots. I don't like their fan base. But it's just undeniable. I mean, you can't deny it.
My last point with it is how many players leave the New England Patriots and get like really good contracts or something because of what Tom does, but they turn around and trash him.
Yeah.
Absolutely. How many players trash him and the Patriots, but then come play for the Patriots and turn around and go, holy crap. Like when Harrison of the Steelers came, it took him 2 days and he posted something on Instagram going, I didn't even realize what truth was behind all of this. This guy is insane. So
let's move on to running back, and we may have something different here, but we may not. So Supas, who's your greatest running back of all time?
Well, seeing I know you probably threw your homer pick on, and you probably got your Bears stuff going on. Listen to me when I say this. There was no quarterback that ran the way, controlled the game the way.
Running back.
Completely player that ran, controlled the game, and made everyone on the field on defense, all 11 players, have no idea what the hell was going on. And that was the quarterback for the Detroit Lions, Barry Sanders.
Running back.
Yeah. Well,
you said quarterback.
Okay, fine. I'm saying quarterback. Running back. There's no one in the game that ever played the way that Barry Sanders played. And there's great running backs. Like when we just talked about baseball and we were like 1A, 1B, there's a lot of A, B, Cs you could probably list here. But for me, there was no one like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders only played 10 years in the game, and he absolutely dominated. Let's not forget about the fact that Barry Sanders, a lot of his yards were not with a blocker. They were not with a huge gap. He didn't have great offensive lines or wide receivers and who to block downfield. I remember the game in Thanksgiving against the Patriots, and he made 2 defenders look like absolute jackasses as he spun them around 3 times around. Barry Sanders only 10 years, 1,300 rushing yards, and 9 of those. Won the MVP in 1997. It's 15,269 yards in 10 years. That's over 1,500 yard average per year. And I'm saying it in a way that those weren't 1,500 yards, with no disrespect to any grown man that played in the Detroit Lions offensive line in those 10 years. They sucked.
Yeah.
He carried that team. And not only that, they weren't that good before, and they've never been good after. And he brought them to the playoffs 4 times by himself. Barry Sanders is the great, no disrespect to Jim Brown, Walter Payton, Eric Dickerson. If Barry Sanders had stayed in the league, Emmitt Smith would have been playing until he was 80 years old to break that rushing record. And Emmitt Smith is damn lucky that Barry Sanders retired early.
Part-time nerd thought you were going to say Lamar Jackson.
If Joshua Seavey was on here for Sports Soup, he would. He didn't disagree with me putting Lamar 10 in my running back list.
Bo is the best ability-wise. Barry had the best career. Look,
well, I don't disagree, but his
that's again
career
Bo.
got short.
If Bo stayed healthy, he might have been the greatest.
But he didn't.
Different sports. But you're gonna be shocked here. I did not take Walter Payton. I actually agree with you. It's Barry Sanders.
Oh, no way!
Barry Sanders. Look, the numbers that you just put out there is everything that I already had to go on. 13-time Pro Bowler, 10-time All-Pro, 197 touchdowns. Was it 22,895 yards? And let's put that in perspective. 22,000 yards. He only played 9 seasons.
Technically 10.
Well, okay,
but really the production was in 9. But because people like to bring up the whole aspect of Jim Brown and Walter Payton, their full length of careers from the time they're in 10 technically.
So Barry Sanders was just. I mean, the guy was a fucking god.
Oh,
I watched him. I remember watching him on Thanksgiving Day against the Bears, and he ran into a pile. Okay, and I'm watching it. I'm like, all right, so are they going to get up anytime soon? And then all of a sudden, the camera starts pushing downfield, and Barry Sanders is running all by himself while everybody else is still in the pile.
I remember that play. I remember that play.
Was by far the greatest running back of all time. No disrespect to my guy Walter Payton, no disrespect to Jim Brown, and no disrespect to Miles Sanders, but he is definitely the running back of all time.
You want to hear a fun little stat? Fun little stat about your co-host as we get to know each other more and more here.
Sure.
Growing up through high school, big into gaming, PC gaming. We had a big computer lab, and we played Doom. It was our game, first-person shooter. And my gamer tag that people didn't know for a while who it was Sweetness. Go with that big team.
That's a great screen name to have.
Yeah.
We got stuff rolling in. Jason Sorensen, Barry Sanders.
Yes, he did, Jason.
My favorite player of all time. It's a shame we didn't see him play longer. Absolutely. He chose health. He chose his health over his NFL career.
And shame on you, Detroit Lions. Shame on you. You had 10 years to go draft and trade for the best offensive line that man could have had, and he would have played 5-6 more years. Shame on you, because you forced him in that decision to look at his life and go, I can't do this anymore, because he made people miss, but it hurt him to make those people miss. That play you brought up, Combs.
Wayne G, love the highlight. His shoe comes off and he runs 70 yards in one shoe.
Yeah,
the guy
like it was nothing.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. All right, so
I can't believe you agreed.
I think we might disagree here. I hope we disagree here. We can't just keep agreeing about it. I know we're going to disagree in hockey, but so I'll go first with wide receiver, and everybody is expecting us to say Jerry Rice. Probably some of the best hands in the game. Very, very, very great wide receiver. He's definitely a great all-time wide receiver, but he's number 2. The best wide receiver of all time is Randy Moss. And the reason why it's Randy Moss is because Randy Moss had 982 receptions, 15,292 yards, 156 touchdowns, 6-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All-Pro, and he did it in half the time that Jerry Rice had a career. Randy Moss was absolutely phenomenal. They don't call him the freak for nothing. Randy Moss did things at wide receiver that no other human being could have done, including Jerry Rice. Randy Moss, by far, the best wide receiver. What says you, Soup Boss?
This is so hard for me because Randy Moss, next to Tom, before the Patriots had gotten Tom Brady, Randy Moss was by and far one of my, if not my favorite players in the NFL. Okay. I love Randy Moss. And when the Patriots got him, I knew what was going to happen. But there was still a slimmer of thought in the back of my mind that what we were seeing out in, were they still in Oakland at the time, the Raiders, or LA, whatever, with the Raiders?
Yep.
I still slightly thought it worried me a little. And then we saw at the end of his career with the Patriots, and then he goes to Tennessee, and he's throwing fits in the food line or something like that in a hotel space. I get your love for Randy Moss. I don't deny my love for Randy Moss. The guy was a beast. He did things that were astronomical. Even when he came back and played for San Francisco, he still was a valuable player. But for the love of God, just because he was that good of a player, and you think everyone should say Jerry Rice, there's a reason everyone says Jerry Rice. And listen, I rag on Jerry Rice because he was a guy that during the Patriots dynasty was like, oh, cheating, bullcrap. He used to put stickum on his hands, which was illegal to do. Okay, so let's not go down that aspect of that road with it. But Jerry Rice, 1,549 yards, 22,395 yards. 1,549 catches, 197 touchdowns, 3 Super Bowls. And what made it cemented even more that Jerry Rice for me was the greatest wide receiver is when I did my research deeper on the GOAT quarterback list and saw with Steve Young and Joe Montana just how little in comparison to some of the great quarterbacks ever did in terms of statistics. And Jerry Rice owned all that, which makes me think, and this may become sacrilegious to some people, I think when we say Tom Brady made all the players around him better, I think Jerry Rice made Joe Montana and Steve Young better. I really think he did. When you look at that aspect and what they were doing for stats in nothing comparison, but if it wasn't for Jerry Rice, they wouldn't even be where they were in that aspect. Yeah. The guy was a guarantee in everything he did. I was not a fan of his personality afterwards and how he accused people left and right of things when he was just as much of a cheater, but we've already had that talk, how everyone cheats.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, though, not only just with stats, but the eyeball test. Man, I love Randy Moss, but with the eyeball test comes an aspect of attitude. And Jerry Rice was always there no matter the situation.
So
and that's the difference.
I think it's another 1A, 1B type thing. I'm not mad that anybody would go with Jerry Rice over Randy Moss. For me, it just comes down to the numbers that he put up are right there with Jerry Rice, and he did it in half the time that Jerry Rice did it. Jerry Rice was in the league for 20 years, and Randy Moss was in the league for 12. So
Randy Moss couldn't last longer than the 12 because he put himself in the position where he didn't.
Well, right, because
himself valuable past that.
Because Randy Moss would go across the middle and catch passes, something Jerry Rice was scared to do.
No, that's bullcrap, man. That's a lie. That's
a
lie. Just because they got Terrell Owens in there, don't make it out like all of a sudden Jerry Rice didn't go down the middle. That's bull crap.
Yeah. I just go, I'm not saying Jerry Rice is not very well be 1A, 1B. I'm not mad. Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, 1A, 1B. I'll leave it
Steve Largent.
Joshua CV says, hey, you don't need to shame the Lions. They shame themselves. You ain't wrong, Joshua. You ain't wrong. Jason Sawyer said Detroit made the same mistake with the wide receiver GOAT Megatron.
Potentially.
Megatron's up there, right?
Potentially. Take the aspect of what we put with Barry Bonds, and there's a lot of people that argue Calvin Johnson just because of that same aspect. Joshua's arrived, yes, he had. Megatron. There's a lot of people, and I don't.
Clifford Franklin. Get the. Go away. Strikeout beer in your trunk.
Oh, man.
Jared Perry and Joshua both say Skull. Jerry Rice is only wide receiver in the top 3 in yards, receptions, and touchdowns, and he's number 1 in all. Megatron is best ever ability wise.
Have you ever seen when Megatron decided to retire? Did you see the pictures of his hands and his fingers? Oh God,
He was
that's the other thing. Not to jump back to our first one, and people say they get overpaid.
Yeah,
the physical stuff they have to do after their careers to make sure, like they can physically last the test of time is ridiculous.
I get in that argument too, and people hate it, and especially military guys. I start talking with them, and I say these guys put their lives on the line with CTE, but they really do. I mean, it's not the same. They're not going to war. They're not getting shot at. I get it, but they still put their lives on the line because those shots that they take, CTE can kill you. So,
among many others.
Football was a one-man cold to Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin only catching it. Clifford Franklin only one coming down with it.
All I can think about is Clifford is the big red dog. I think he's the big red dog. That's all I can think of when I hear Clifford.
That is a great point. # Jerry Rice. Football is like a one-man. Oh, we just saw that one.
Are they copying each other?
Copy and pasted.
It just comes down to who can cheat better. That's my sister. She knows the reality of it.
Yeah.
That's not actually true. Cheating does not guarantee wins. We've battled down that.
Jerry Rice didn't moon Green Bay. Yes! Yes! Jerry Rice did not moon Green Bay. Randy Moss did. I love Randy Moss.
I can't believe. Do you remember when that happened? How people wanted him banned from the sport? Like, seriously? Yeah. Where were we in that time? And it just shows how much the world's changed because someone does that now and they're just like, well, is it going to be a team celebration? Yeah. Are they all going to pretend?
Other than 2 years of Brady, who did Moss have for goal? I mean, Dante Culpepper wasn't.
Dante Culpepper. Yeah. Listen, Dante Culpepper wasn't a pushover. And people that think that he was only successful just because of Moss really meant
for an arm.
Oh, he had a cannon for an arm. Yeah. He could break tackles like no one's been. I watched a game where he had a guy coming behind. He put the guy in front of him down, pushed his arm up, and high stepped over the guy, broke free. And then, of course, when you have Randy Moss in his prime, he just threw it up there. But 99% of quarterbacks would have had no chance to get out of that to throw that ball.
Franklin from the replacements. Oh, I should have known that one.
Oh, that's.
Yeah.
We're getting into some real debate. The jokes are starting
to. Real players here. You guys are coming at me with, Jesus Christ, you're killing me, Smalls.
Just thought it was the big red dog.
Right. Let's get to hockey because I know I loved Culpepper.
Start with goalie.
Yes. All right, so we're gonna start with goalie. I will go first with goalie because I'm gonna let you go first with skater. So with goalie, a lot of people and a lot of, I look up all these, top goalies of all time. You read it, Bleacher Report did one, HockeyWriters.com did one, all sorts of them. They've all got Patrick Waugh number one. And again, this might be another situation where you could go 1A and 1B. For me, it's Martin Brodeur. Martin Brodeur was an absolute stud in net. 691 wins. The guy he had more shutouts than Patrick Waugh. He had double the shutouts of Patrick Waugh, actually. And he had a 2.24 goals against average, which was better than Patrick Waugh. He had a .912 save percentage, also better than Patrick Waugh. And he played longer than Patrick Waugh, which probably could have brought his percentages down under Patrick Waugh's, but it didn't. So I have Martin Brodeur as the number one goalie of all time. I'm also a huge Martin Brodeur fan. I loved watching the guy play growing up. It was him, Dominic Hasek, and Patrick Waugh all in the league at the same time. And they're probably the three best goalies the game has ever seen. And they were all playing at the same time. It was phenomenal hockey in the 90s and early 2000s. I know, Martin Brodeur held on until I think he played 25, 30 years in the league. He played for a long time. I think he still might play once he's, 80. He might come back and do a reunion tour or something. But Supas, who you got as your goalie?
Okay, so I got to tell you that I'm shocked because I was waiting for you to give me almost the Patrick Waugh line. So you and I are on the exact same boat in that aspect. Is that I get the aspect of Patrick Waugh. I don't disagree with people who put him there. I can see completely why. But I remember watching some things with Patrick Waugh where he made himself super good in some ways, and other times he just knew how to give away a game. And that really would frustrate me sometimes watching that. And as a Ray Bork fan and the Bruins, when they went over there we traded him there to try to win the Stanley Cup, there were a couple, because I all of a sudden became like a mini Avalanche fan. I was like, what are you doing? I don't disagree with people wholeheartedly, but I don't agree with them at all. In fact, I don't even have him. Not only do I not have him number one, I don't even have him as the number one Canadiens goalie that ever played. Okay? The fact of the matter is the greatest NHL goalie that ever played was Dominik Hasek. No one not only played in the time that they were given in a way that Dominik Hasek did with stats, but he also changed the aspect of hockey in terms of this whole culture, not economy, but the culture. We've talked about this all the time. We talk hockey. People don't want to do hockey, right? I sat here last time. $5, go watch it. People hate hockey. They don't like hockey for some reason. Do you remember when Dominik Hasek was in Buffalo and when he carried them to the Stanley Cup in 1999? He had commercials everywhere. The MasterCard commercials, the priceless. They did a whole thing with him on that, and it was having a slinky for a spine, priceless. I saw people that had no idea what hockey was wearing Dominik Hasek jerseys, the actual hockey sweaters. It was insane. So not only was he my favorite because of how he changed things, but then I went in even more when we did this research. It was even better than I thought. Dominik Hasek didn't even get a chance to start till he's 27. In hockey, you play a lot longer, but he didn't start till he was 27. 389 wins, 6 Vezina trophies. But the craziest stat to me, he won 2 Hart trophies. You know what the Hart trophy is, right?
Yeah.
That's the MVP trophy. That's like a pitcher winning the MVP in baseball. They don't do that. And not only did he do it once, he did it twice. He carried that Buffalo Sabres team that had zero reason, just like Barry Sanders carrying the Lions to playoffs. They had zero reason being that Stanley Cup Finals, and I think it was 1999 or 97. Got them through 6 games, all on his own. He won it twice. The last time a goaltender won an MVP was Jacques Plante in Montreal in 1962 before him on that, and he only won 1. He won 2 MVP trophies. He didn't start till he's 27. He dominated the league. And not only that, this is a fun little thing with Dominik Hasek, because he recreated the way, and I know Patrick Waugh invented that, the split angle like save with the 2 legs out. Patrick Waugh literally said, my goal is to fill the whole net in every aspect with my body. And that's why you would see him go nuts. But he had an art to it. The NHL was trying to figure out how they could make this sport even better. And they wanted to change the way the goal was. They almost changed it to this weird, like, half oval type thing.
Yep.
And when they did it, they brought him in because they said, we need to make sure that even you would have a chance where you wouldn't be able to stop a puck. And they couldn't find a way to shape the net and change it in any way that Dominik Hasek couldn't stop a puck. Think about that. They tried to change the game, and he made them stop. They said, forget it. We can't do it.
Like I said, Dominik Hasek was he was so much fun to watch. So much fun to watch. I remember I was just rooting for him to win cups just because I wanted to see the guy deserved one. And he still
got 2, even though he didn't win it with Buffalo.
He did. But he got him in. Where did he get him?
Detroit.
Yeah,
it's like I get it. It was like the Yankees, but no one disagrees with Jeter's World Series ring.
As a hockey fan in Chicago growing up, we grew up on 2 words: Detroit sucks. So that's why I didn't care that he won them there. But anyway, all right. So our comment feed is blowing up, man. What the hell is going on here? How do you not know who Clifford Franklin is? I wasn't thinking, man. I was thinking real player.
We were in serious mode. We're talking GOATs. We're talking greatest of all times. Our bad. The joke went over our head.
For all the stuff you guys think you know, swinging
a miss. For what?
Best hockey player ever is Jack. Oh God. Is that the king? That's the kangaroo one, right? Osgood, Eagle. Eddie Belfour was another great one. A lot of people overlooked. I loved Eddie, watching him with the Blackhawks. Wayne. No, we didn't go with defensive player. I mean, because man, there's so many positions in football, but we could certainly do that.
We will.
Absolutely.
I'm a defensive guy, Wayne. We will do it.
Quit with the A and B. Pick someone. I did pick someone.
We did.
Every time.
Strikeout beer. Go have another beer and relax.
Are you listening to the show, Strikeout Beer? I don't think you're listening.
I drank all 3 of mine. I'm out now, and I still got 20 minutes. It sucks.
With you a lot tonight, man. You and Wayne have been on the same page when it comes to goats. Hodgkick was damn good.
He was just ridiculous.
I agree. Part-time nerd. Julie the cat was from the Mighty Ducks.
Speaking of Mighty Ducks, Goldberg, the kid that played Goldberg, he got arrested. His picture. Yeah. I
remember when Wog got his ass beat by Brendan and Osgood and back. Man, those rivalries were awesome. Those Colorado freaking Detroit rivalry
they were so good because the fact that you just brought up goalie fights just shows how good they were.
Only because she had jugs. Y'all are nasty. Wasn't she like 15? Hey, we're gonna move on here.
What?
TJ,
what's happening? Demonetized. YouTube like you didn't use money, but you talked about gross.
Back then I was 15 too. Oh man. All right. So moving on, let's get to this last one so we can get to our winner, and then we can get to some shop talk here. Let's go with Skater, the greatest hockey player of all time. I already know who you're going with. So give it to us, Soup Boss. Let's hear all about how great Wayne Gretzky was, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong.
I'm gonna sit here and make sure I start this comment with saying when I asked you who was the GOAT as opposed to Wayne Gretzky, you went You can't deny a guy. You can't deny a guy because of your damn hatred for him. Okay, I hate the Yankees. I hate them with a passion.
I don't hate
that
Wayne
does
Gretzky.
not mean I look at Mariano Rivera, Derek Jeter, and go, they suck. You only root against Wayne Gretzky because you hate the guy. That's it. You have no other aspect of this.
I don't hate Wayne Gretzky.
Let me school you on Wayne Gretzky, okay? Wayne Gretzky,
blah, blah, blah.
Here's your stat. He has 1,963 assists all time. All time. 1,963 assists. Would you like to tell me which player in the history of the NHL, goals and assists combined, have more than 1,963? Do you have an answer, Mr. Combs?
No.
No, because there aren't any. His assist total, assists, are more than any player, goals or assists. No one has ever combined for that much. There's only one other player that broke more than 160 points, Mario Lemieux. He did it 4 times. How many players have broke 200 points, Mr. Combs?
None.
None of them have done it. 9 times. Over 200. He had over 9 times over 160 points. Over 204 freaking times. 4-time champion. 10 Art Ross trophies. He has 9 Hart trophies. Brandon, 9 MVP trophies. I get the love for the Gordie Howe and the Bobby Orrs. As a Bruins fan, I obviously get it. And I say it all the time. I love the toughness of hockey. But fighting is not a mandatory part of hockey. You don't need the Gordie Howe hat trick. Because I heard you say, oh, he's not tough. He's not tough. You want to know why he didn't need to be tough? Because he was kicking your ass up and down the ice nonstop. Every single way, shape, and form. He knew the play that you had before you had it set. He was ahead of you. He picked your pocket. Half the time he had assists just because he was bored. He didn't want to score the goal. He let one of his players catch up, and he frigging fed it to them. There was no one better than Wayne Gretzky in the game of hockey. He was ahead of his time. He's ahead of the time today. And I'm a Bruins fan today. Listen, Brad Marchand, I want him to go out and fight guys. I don't want Patrice Bergeron going out and fighting people. That's the aspect of Wayne Gretzky. I heard you say he's not tough. He didn't fight. I don't give 2 craps. 9 MVP trophies.
Greatest of all.
No one combined for goals or assists more than his assist total. Period.
To me,
Wayne Gretzky is the GOAT of hockey, and your anger towards him sucks.
Listen. Listen. I do not hate Wayne Gretzky. And
You're
every
so
stat that you
full of
just
shit.
threw out, no, stop. I let you talk, now let me talk. God damn it. Wayne Gretzky, every stat that you threw out, you're right. He is the greatest offensive player of all time. The one thing that we've had in common with all of our freaking guys, with the exception of the NFL, is that they were two-way players. NBA, we talked about it with Michael Jordan over Wilt. He was a great defensive player, better defensive player than Wilt. We talked about it in MLB. Okay, these guys play both ways. Okay, I can't just have just the greatest offensive player and not have defense. That's why I don't go with guys like Sammy Sosa or Mark McGwire, because those guys, they're not on the same level. Wayne Gretzky did not play defense. But you know who did? Gordie freaking Howe. Gordie Howe is the greatest hockey player to ever lace up the skates. 801 goals, 1,049 assists, 1,850 points, 4 Stanley Cups, 6 Hart trophies, 6 times Ross winner, 21-time All-Star, only player, like you were asking me, how many players in NHL history have had 22 straight seasons of 20 goals or more?
That's because he played until he was in his damn 50s.
So
he
what?
played until he was 50.
I don't care. That's the other point that I have. He retires at the age 42, comes back at age 51, 33 years after his rookie year, and he puts up 41 points. 41 points. 33 years after his rookie year.
How do you define defense in hockey?
It's all around. What's the Gordie Howe hat trick?
It's fighting. It's a goal assist in a fight, which I already brought up. I already brought up the aspect. I don't want Patrice Bergeron fighting. I don't want Patrice Bergeron fighting. How do you define defense in the NHL? Is it just fighting? Is it just fighting? How do you define defense?
I'll tell you what. What I'm going to do.
Do you know what a steal is in hockey? Do you know what a steal is?
Look,
do you know what a steal is?
Yes, I know what a steal is.
Really? Where are the stats on steals?
There
aren't any, because Wayne Gretzky picked off so many passes because he knew the plays that he was already down the ice with the puck in hand, waiting for his player either assisting or goaling. There's no such thing as a defensive stat in NHL. All there is the goalie gets the stat as a goalie, and then there's fighting. There's no defensive stats.
What I'm going to do for you, and I'm going to do this just for you, okay? Because we have to move on, and we have to get to our shop talk, and we have to pull a winner for our gift card and our giveaway, and we have to talk to the people about some exciting news that we have. So I need to calm you down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on Twitter. I'm going to get on Facebook. I'm going to go through everything that I can, the LA Kings. I'm going to go through the Edmonton Oilers, whoever I got to, and I'm going to get you your date with Wayne Gretzky. And maybe, one thing will lead to another.
I didn't like the guy either. But out of all 4 major sports, he's the most top-level GOAT of the 4 major sports above anyone else.
No, he's not.
With all respect to Mr. Gordie Howe and Bobby
Strike out here, Combs. I think we're ready for the mute button. Here you go. There you go. He's muted. It's like a drunk at Thanksgiving who hates Trump. I think he's talking about me there, though. And he might be talking about me.
Might be.
All right. So, moving on. I have right now, so I'm going to call out the names that I have, and then I'm going to give you 3 to 5 minutes to tell me whether or not I'm missing you. What you had to do was you had to like the page. You had to share the post. You had to share the post, the live feed. Share the live feed from tonight, and you have to comment to let us know that you're in. And then you do those things, and we'll put you in for the gift card. So I have Jared Parrott. Thank you, Jared. We have Part-Time Nerd.
Yeah.
We have Ashley Launder.
Woo-hoo.
We have TJ Burns.
By the way, we have 16 shares. One is mine, so there should be about 15 people here.
We have Wayne G. We have Noah. We have Brandon Bingham. we have Alan Combs, and we have Jamie Rowe. So I need you guys, if I missed your name, to let me know whether or not you're in there. And look, everybody's available. I got my son in there. I've got,
Yep.
got guys from the RTF Sports Network in there. We've got our listeners. We've got everybody's eligible for this. So if you shared, let me know that you shared. If I did not call out your name, everybody else's name is going in this box. We will draw one random winner. And it is now time for our Shop Talk segment, which is all for you, the fans. And before we get to our Shop Talk segment, I do want to come up with some exciting news. We here at Triple Shot Sports are in talks and are about to close a deal with BigDogPoker.net. They are going to sponsor our Shop Talk segment. I'm sorry, our Way or No Way segment, which we did not get to this today because of our GOAT debate.
Because I was screaming.
They are going to sponsor our Way or No Way segment. And so that's some great news, some exciting news. To get a sponsor is huge. We're very excited to partner with BigDogPoker.net. I play poker on BigDogPoker.net. I've played there for, probably about 8 to 9 months now. They've got really good tables. They've got everything from Omaha to Hold'em. They've got tournaments all over the place. And these guys are, you pay a $7 tournament. Some of them have $10,000 guaranteed prize. So for $7, a shot at a $10,000 guaranteed prize pool. Now, it's not $10,000 to the winner, so don't get that wrong. But it's $10,000 spread out to like 40 or 50 people.
Still good.
For $7, it is a pretty good deal. They run a great poker site. I definitely recommend that you check it out if you have not already. If you log in and they'll ask you for who your agent is, you're going to put in, because it's my screen name on there, is Go Cubs Go. That's GOCUBS GO. Go Cubs Go is my screen name. That would be your agent name. And there will be, we're planning on putting in some added funds, extra funds in for anybody who uses that agent name. So very exciting news. What do you think about that, Soup Boss?
That's fantastic. You already know we talked about when it came on some things that I love to do. Poker is a big part of my upbringing with my mom and my family. In fact, I was just texting my mom because she's wondering where I am, because I usually get on at 8:30 our time for some poker. So she was on tonight. So poker's a big thing. I love it, man. I love it. And just because of that, man, you guys are sponsoring. I'm already addicted. I'm going to get in. But listen, in today's world with COVID, we've got so many things we wish we could do. One of the great things about when I go out and play poker online is that you can start interacting with people. We love your interaction here. We love people coming on this show. If you love poker, get on there, help them out because they want to help us out, and go in there. Go Cubs Go for the name for who referred you. Go and try to win some money. And at the same time, talk to some people. Have some fun. There's nothing better than poker, in my opinion.
Courtney, I got your name in there. I just put
Yeah.
it in. And then we have Strikeout Beer says Yeehaw with some, thank you guys. Thank you guys for all the love. Strikeout Beer has been a big supporter of the show. Wayne G as well. Wayne G's been a huge supporter of the show over there at Infinity Sports. They got some great things going on. Strikeout Beer has I love theirs. They were the first show other than Infinity Sports that I watched on the network, and I really enjoy what they do over there. You got to check those guys out. Definitely check out Strikeout Beer. He also says he needs some new Fortnite skins, so we'll see if we pull his name. But yeah, Michelle out here, awesome, great job,
Thanks,
guys.
Michelle.
Thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. Jamie Rowe, awesome, congratulations. Alan,
thanks,
Combs,
guys.
Clap.
Thanks, guys. It means a lot.
So
it means a lot because we're taking a lot of time. I hope you guys understand. We want to bring great content. We want to talk sports. We know a lot of people are dying for it. Brandon and I don't even actually know each other on a personal level. We've gotten to meet each other, and this has been a lot of fun. But behind the scenes, this man and I, we're working our tails off around everything else we do in our normal lives, our career and everything like that, and with our families, because we want to bring a great show every single night. We get on here super early, trying to make sure that we got set and ready to go to talk to you guys. And as much as this is about Brendan and I bringing a great show together, it's for you. And we want your feedback. And we love hearing you guys be happy. But we thank you for the support.
Fun real life story. I don't get heated no matter the topic. The last time I was really pissed in an argument was about 10 years ago in Lowe's break room at Brandon for his Tebow day.
Well, Wade, if you feel you need someone to get heated on your show, I'll come do a guest spot because as you can see, I got a little bit of a New England temper.
Yeah, the guy just, I mean, he was a winner. He definitely was a winner, but he was just not an NFL quarterback. All right, so I got, how many names we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Got more wins than Lamar Jackson than
9.
the playoff.
I've got 10 people in here.
Man, Joshua CV, I know you shared it. Come on, man. I wish you had commented. Root for that kid.
All right, guys. So here we go. Here it is. All right, they're all in the box.
I almost feel like I should do a drum roll.
Shake it up.
Shaking my camera.
Okay. See, I can't see whose name it is. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick out a name here.
I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Dun, dun,
Copyright.
And the winner is...
Let's go, baby.
Courtney Halverson.
Hey!
Congratulations,
Love Courtney.
Go ahead and either shoot Soup Boss or myself, or you could even message the show on Facebook, and you let us know who, what your mailing address is and all that other good stuff, and I will send out that $50 gift card to you. We could also do the thing where we do just a, we could just do, I could snap a picture of it, so that way you can use it online or whatever the case is. But congratulations, Courtney.
Congrats, Courtney.
Gift card coming to you. And as promised as well, donating to charity. The charity that I pick is one that's near and dear to my heart. You guys see me here with the wristbands all the time. I don't know if you guys ever noticed them as I'm wearing them, but it's the Till Valhalla project. It is the bracelets that they give me. I'll give you a better view of them here. All their stuff is 22 a day. Now, the reason why they say 22 a day is because it is 22 veterans a day commit suicide from PTSD and their struggles with it. And that's got to get better. We can't keep doing and letting our veterans who put their lives on the line for us go out the way that they're going out. We've got to get better at the VA. We've got to get better, as human beings. And we've got to be there for them. And so I'm going to go ahead and donate, and I'm going to donate more than what I had said I'm going to donate. I'm actually going to do a monthly donation to them, $40 a month. And so that's where our donation is going to. And the Till Valhalla project, if any of you guys want to get on it, they've got a great thing where you donate $40 a month. They'll send you wristbands. They send you a T-shirt every month. They send you stickers, all sorts of things. And then they send you this envelope that shows you all of the plaques. So what they do with all the money that they get in is they take these plaques for all these veterans who have committed suicide or died of PTSD, and they bring them to their families. And they give them to the families so that they can always remember the veteran that died. So it's a great cause. So if you want to check it out, tillvalhallaproject.com is what they are on. And you can check out everything that they do. They've got some great stuff there. So
that's awesome.
Soup Boss, it's been fun. Congratulations, Courtney Halverson.
Yeah.
We appreciate all the love tonight, guys. You guys have completely blown up the chat. I can't wait to go look at the numbers. You guys are the best. I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. I know Soup Boss does too. We, like he said, we're working our tails off to make this thing the best product out there. And all you guys do is keep showing up for us. And all we can ask for you is just the like, the shares, follow the page, share with your friends.
Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I know we're on Facebook and coming through. That's a great thing too. But Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And that's the other thing. I had a lot of people ask me, hey, if I go on YouTube and comment, does it come through here? It does. We had someone here, Jeremiah Miller, on our last show comment on YouTube. We were able to pull that up. So if
Yep.
YouTube is easier for you. And if you get on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit that bell, as the YouTubers love to say, and we'll let you know when we've got stuff ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, we'll be back with you on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. It has been fun. We've had a lot of fun today, a lot of yelling today, but it was a great show, and we hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you guys have anything you want to talk about, anything you want to say, anything you want to hear on the next one, Jared Perez says he has like 8 beers left. So, next topic, Jared.
I ran out of beers 20 minutes ago.
Our next topic will be on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We will definitely get into our top 10 wide receivers, as well as we will talk some more hockey playoff action as the next round starts on Tuesday. We'll get into some baseball talk, exciting things going on in baseball, some more positive COVID tests going on in baseball. So other things that we'll get into, things that we need to talk about for sure. So we'll see you guys on Tuesday night.
Take care, guys.
Have a good night.
Go Cardinals.